The confirmation of famine in parts of Gaza has been met with an outright denial and rejection by Israel. The United Nations-backed group which monitors global hunger confirmed for the first time famine in Gaza City, which it predicts will expand to much of the rest of Gaza next month. The UN blames the situation on the systematic obstruction of aid into Gaza by Israel. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu called the findings an outright lie and said his government does not have a policy of starvation. Israel doesn't allow international media like the BBC to report from Gaza, so Lucy Williamson is in Jerusalem for us tonight. Lucy.
Well, this stark assessment comes after months of warnings, criticism, condemnation over the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. And the response of Israel's government has been to say, well, there is no crisis. Today, they hit back. They attacked the methods and data behind the report. The Prime Minister's office called it an outright lie and a modern blood libel. Familiar language that signals no change in Israel's position. It doesn't take a report to see Gaza's desperation. There are 2 million experts in hunger already on the ground. Bilal filmed this video last month under fire while trying to get food for 10 relatives, including his pregnant wife, due to give birth any day now. A bag of flour cost him his glasses. The same routine every few days. The IPC says 500,000 Gazans are facing catastrophic conditions marked by starvation, destitution and death, and that 80% of households took risks to get food. I risk my life to go there because there's no work, he says. The scene around the trucks is indescribable. People get wounded, run over, trampled in the crowd, injured by the army. I just can't describe it. Child mortality is one way famine is measured. Ashraf's daughter Gutteres died this morning.
I went to charities all over to get milk, but it was unavailable. Here, you can see, she was 5 months old, but she looks like she was born only today. From the time her mother became pregnant to the time she was 5 months old, there was no food, water, or milk for her. How is a child expected to survive?
Gutteres was born with cerebral palsy, little bigger than a newborn when she died. Ill from birth, babies like her are the first to die from malnutrition. As news of the report's findings filtered out, this was Israel's response. If the markets are full, it suggests, no one should starve. But prices are too high for many Gazans, and there's little nutrition in pastries. The Israeli agency that oversees aid in Gaza said it firmly rejected the claim of famine, and that the panel's assessment was unprofessional, undermined the credibility of its conclusions, and raised suspicion of political motives. After a 2-month aid blockade this year, aid deliveries into Gaza are rising again. But aid workers say Israel is still deliberately restricting access.
Israel is presented as though we are applying a campaign of starvation in Gaza. What a bold-faced lie. There is no policy of starvation in Gaza, and there is no starvation in Gaza.
Israel has accused the IPC of engineering its results by relying on the upper arm measurements of young children. The panel have used this method before when data is scarce. Their diagnosis is that famine conditions have arrived in Gaza. And the best medicine for this, they say, is a ceasefire. Lucy Williamson, BBC News, Jerusalem.
Well, this is the first time the global organisation involved, the IPC, has confirmed famine outside the continent of Africa. Their report says around 500,000 people, that's 26% of the population of Gaza, face catastrophic conditions, extreme food shortages, critical malnutrition and high death rates. 54% face an emergency situation with very high rates of malnutrition, while 20% of people are in crisis with food shortages that have an impact on their health. So why has the situation deteriorated so much? Caroline Hawley is here to explain. Caroline.
Thanks, Rita. The UN and other agencies have repeatedly warned of this and appealed for much more aid to be allowed into Gaza. Its emergency coordinator, Tom Fletcher, said the famine was preventable, the result of systematic obstruction by Israel, enabled, he said, by indifference.
It is a famine on all of our watch. Everyone owns this. The Gaza famine is the world's famine. It is a famine that asks, but what did you do? A famine that will and must haunt us all.
So how is famine defined? The IPC, the body that monitors global hunger, uses various criteria. One is measurement of upper arm circumference. If it's less than 12.5 centimetres for children under 5, that counts as acute malnutrition. And if 15% of children fall below this threshold, that's considered an indicator. Another is the number of people dying every day, either from starvation or a combination of malnutrition and disease. Israel says this threshold for famine hasn't been met, but the IPC believes such deaths are significantly underreported.
So how has this been allowed to happen? The IPC says that 62,000 tonnes of food staples are needed every month to cover the very basic needs of the population. In the first 2 months of this year, that amount was coming in, according to Israeli figures. But as you can see here, in March and April, there were no food deliveries at all, 80 days of total blockade. And the amount that's been allowed in since May is well below what's needed.
And there's precious little to rely on inside the Gaza Strip, where the vast majority of the population has been displaced again and again. The IPC says that because of the conflict, 98% of agricultural land is either damaged or inaccessible, livestock decimated, and fishing off the coast of Gaza banned.
It's taken a devastating toll. The IPC says what's needed is a ceasefire and immediate, large-scale, unobstructed access. Even that will come too late for many. Malnourished children can suffer lifelong physical and cognitive complications. The UN Secretary-General, Antonio Gutteres, described the famine in Gaza as a man-made disaster, a moral indictment, and a failure of humanity.